bring these warm bloods to our lair? Why?
They say Slan's warriors fought with Slan against the dead who walk. In return, only ask to speak to Chief, and Slan honors bargain.
Neverwinter Nights 2 is like the bastard child of the mainstream CRPGs. With the move away from the original Neverwinter Nights to the Neverwinter Nights 2, it was heralded with some really neat buzzwords such as more party members, 3.5 rule set, and of course updated graphics. When compared to the original non-enhanced Neverwinter Nights, it does come across as having some really wonderful upgrades. A lot of this deals with the time period. When you think about the 2000s in gaming, it was a huge transitional period. Neverwinter Nights 2 indeed experienced this change from its predecessor. Unfortunately, due to what I feel is a poor camera angle management, Neverwinter Nights 2 never caught ground like the original did. The magic in the bottle just didn't strike as well the second time. That's not to say that Neverwinter Nights 2 didn't see some success. It really has over time, garnering a devout modding community and for a while a robust multiplayer realm selection. However, unlike Neverwinter Nights, due to some licensing agreements, it has never been given the proper upgrade to the Enhanced Edition. Currently snagging a copy is also pretty limited unless you grab one off the GOG. With all that being said, we are taking a look today at the original campaign, a setting taking place years after the events of the original Neverwinter Nights main campaign. Now, before you think of dusting off that epic level Neverwinter Night hero from the first game, player characters aren't carried over, and instead it all begins with a fresh level 1 to adventure with. And since the expansions are bundled, I chose a Yuan-Ti, cause frankly they're pretty damn cool. Strangely enough, the storyline fits, which is a huge plus. It's that wonderful, ambiguous beginnings, and it's a surefire way to allow some character immersion. Anyways, the campaign is fairly lengthy. The estimated time is around 60 hours just in the main story. I feel like I was able to blister through the content well under this time, even with doing most of the side quests available. Although truth be told, 10 of my hours was probably spent juggling items in the inventory screen. Roleplay is extensive, combat is heavy, and loot is ungodly kind. There are plenty of traps, but not really on the sinister side of things. Also, there is a system introduced based around the influence of party members. I'll speak about that a little bit later on. But before we dive too far down this rabbit hole, remember to like and subscribe for more content. Let's go ahead and dive in.
That's all you got? Watch this!
And what do you call that then, love? Ode to an angry banshee giving birth?
I'm not gonna lie, my first thoughts of the original campaign is that it came across as a hot mess. While the introductions is pretty well streamlined, somewhere in the process of a city exploring and traveling to other locations, things just begin to get a little bit muddled. This really isn't an issue until mainly Act 2. If you take into account the NPCs with the quests that you're supposed to run across without knowing, it just adds to this whole feeling of uncertainty. The worst offenders is the moments when you're traveling back from a big storyline mission, inventory basically spilling out of your bags and ready to sell off those loose goods only to be suddenly halted in your process. Your party disbanded and you're stuck with all the crap you just snagged. I remember one particular time I was overloaded and made it back to town by use of a bull strength only to be sent right back out and having to play through another entire main storyline segment weighted down solo without an option to sell. Needless to say, I wasn't a happy camper. All the negatives aside, what does exist is a really compelling tale of these mysterious shard items that are a hot commodity in the demonic and other planar existence. I'll break it down a little bit. What I kind of dig is it just strikes home this notion that instead of like the Frodo Baggins moment where you're given this ring to go on a quest, here the ring or the shard is placed snug in a location we get out of if we wanted to. It's the quintessential Tony Stark with the power lodged in the chest. What makes this journey even more enjoyable is the dialogue cutscenes and the added companions. For the companions, my favorite part has to be the banter and arguing, trying to figure out where they fit into what is transpiring and how to get them all to gel together, which mostly involves around the influence system. It also gives character to the world. The first companion we run across is Kelgar, a dwarven fighter that wants to become a monk. We stumble across him early on after just leaving the village where he's trying to rough up 3 thugs that are threatening him, which all stems from one night a monk actually laid him out after he was drunk, Not only does Kelgar's introduction to the side quest of his journey to monkhood add flavor to the story, it is almost its own entire sub-campaign. The way his character's personal growth happens before our eyes as we complete each part of his side quest comes across just short of some of the best character development I've ever seen in gaming. In the end, I have to say, I was really rooting for this hot-blooded little dwarf to figure it all out.
This is a long way from the road. Are you sure you know where you're going?
Agreed. How much farther is this place?
Not far, for we are already here.
What is the influence system? It was put into place with our companions to gain favor through actions and dialogue choice, each with their own personality and what they like and don't like, and it covers the full spectrum, making the influence system weigh heavy into your interactions, especially if you try to get them all to like you. Needless to say, Obsidian really invested heavy into the system, especially since I never knew when I would stumble across a new companion that would have to slide into the build's chemistry. This is actually a small flaw in design that Baldur's Gate had worked out magnificently years before. Allow the player character to build his party, not a force in hand. In the end, I see why they did it, as they built most of the storyline revolving around this premise. As for the encounters, I actually found them somewhat well balanced. While in the stages it would go from struggling to easy, back to struggling, I felt each major segment on the bosses ramped up in difficulty and complexity nicely, complete with different ways to resolve boss fights, which I found to be a breath of fresh air. It was perfect. Get beat, get up, stretch, make a coffee, come back and have that aha moment and be like, how did I ever overlook this option? While the boss drops were nice, the loot drops across the board were highly diverse, complete with special drops that work perfect for companions as well. It doesn't stop there, because the vendors are numerous, with some of them having really unique items that make you want to save up cash to snag for someone in your party. Combine that with the travel system and backtracking back to the vendor, really it wasn't much of a problem. The travel system with its click location style was also essential, as in one section we take possession of our own personal keep, complete with trying to outfit it with different buildings and merchants that we must find out in the field, and it is all about trying to find out the ones that you can recruit. As for the keep itself, we're given free reign on training and outfitting our soldiers and giving them tasks, which was a really cool added set piece to the whole mood of the campaign. Throughout the process of this main campaign, cutscenes and cinematic cutscenes were plenty. All this just stops abruptly towards the end, and what we are given is this hand-drawn images with dialogue underneath. I almost felt like this was a weird shift that came across and sort of a letdown. While the story with these particular scenes follow well enough, what we had become accustomed to no longer existed. To me, it said two things. Either they shortcut the section due to budget, or to get it out to mass market. I'm not sure which. It was probably both. It robs the player of some of that experience that they had stuck with through all these hours of game time. At least that's how I felt. As far as the tile sets, it's absolute eye candy in segments. As I mentioned before, Neverwinter Nights 2 is a graphical upgrade from Neverwinter Nights. There are moments of sheer blissful joy as I overlooked a waterfall or stood upon a mound overseeing large sections of the ground below. Also, the music selection seemed on par with what I've come to expect when traveling through the village and hearing soft calming melody play in the background. It's an equally great mood piece. Here's a short cut of it. Neverwinter Nights 2 campaign frankly hits a lot of the checkboxes in any good CRPG. While there are definitely problems I had with the design, it still carried through with great storytelling. As I stated, be it the companions' interactions, the side quests, or just the world design in general, the moment in time with Neverwinter is weaved together masterfully and makes you want to be a part of it. Not only that, but it paved the foundation to what more modern CRPG design looks like for example Pillar of Eternity that Obsidian worked on later. Well, that's it for this review. I'll go ahead and see you on the next one. Have a great day gaming. Later.